The morning of May 17, 2007 was cloudless over Miami's private airfield. The sun glittered on the tarmac as Michael King, a 39-year-old tech millionaire, prepared to board his personal aircraft, a sleek silver Cessna Citation jet. He waved briefly to his pilot, checked his gold wristwatch, and carried nothing but a leather briefcase and a cup of black coffee. Within an hour, he would vanish into thin air. At 9:14 a.m., King's plane lifted off from Miami Executive Airport, heading for Nassau, Bahamas. The flight was short, only about 40 minutes. Air traffic control confirmed the climb, the leveling at 20,000 feet, and then radio silence. When controllers tried to reach the pilot again at 9:37, there was no response. The aircraft maintained altitude, steady and unbothered. Then, 2 hours later, it descended rapidly, circling over open water before ditching near the Florida Keys. When the Coast Guard arrived, the jet was intact but empty. Both doors were locked from the inside. There were no signs of struggle, no distress calls, no damage, just an untouched cabin and Michael King's briefcase sitting on the seat, open. His phone was gone, his pilot missing. That same night, his wife Laura King received a call from the FAA. Her voice trembled as she asked the question everyone was thinking. Was it an accident? The agent paused. "Ma'am," he said quietly, "we don't know what it was." Michael King wasn't just another businessman. He was the founder of Neurospan Technologies, a biotech company that had exploded in value after creating an early neural interface chip. He'd made hundreds of millions on the IPO, became a regular on CNBC, and bought properties in Miami, Zurich, and Panama City. But behind the polished smile and magazine covers, cracks had begun to show. 2 weeks before his disappearance, King had been in tense meetings with a veteran airman with over 20 years of experience, but Lang's name didn't appear in any employment records, licenses, or flight rosters. David Lang, as it turned out, did not exist. By the end of week 1, the investigation had shifted from accident to conspiracy. The FBI suspected foul play, possibly financial crime, possibly kidnapping. The plane, they theorized, could have been used as part of an elaborate escape plan. But if King faked his death, where was he now? On May 25th, Interpol flagged a second passport issued under the name Michael Kincaid, bearing King's photograph. It had been used to enter Panama City 3 days after the crash. The passport was authentic, printed on genuine U.S. government stock, but traced back to a fraudulent application approved through an insider at the State Department. King's wife refused to believe it. Michael wouldn't run, she told reporters through tears. He built everything from nothing. He was scared, yes, but he wasn't a criminal. The media called it the Vanishing Millionaire mystery. Conspiracy theories flooded the airwaves. Some said King was alive in Central America, hiding millions. Others claimed he'd been silenced by corporate enemies who wanted his tech patents buried forever. But then came the clue that changed everything. 2 fishermen off the coast of Cuba spotted a life vest with the name Neurospan Technologies printed faintly on the tag. Inside the vest pocket was a waterproof envelope containing a memory card, protected, undamaged, and labeled simply K. When investigators opened the files, they found encrypted documents, corporate ledgers, and audio recordings of King's final calls. One file, titled May 17 Log, contained a chilling 19-second audio clip, the sound of wind, the faint hum of engines, and then Michael's voice, calm but urgent. "If you're hearing this, I didn't make... If this goes public, we're both finished. You handle the tech, I'll handle the silence." For the first time, investigators wondered if Michael King's disappearance wasn't to escape justice, but to avoid being silenced forever. Meanwhile, down in Panama City, a small financial intelligence unit was conducting its own quiet surveillance. They had picked up chatter of a high-value American client using banks tied to organized crime. And just 2 days before the crash, someone matching Michael King's description was caught on security footage entering a luxury hotel near the waterfront, accompanied by 2 unidentified men in suits. One of them appeared to be holding a brown leather folder. The footage timestamp? May 15th, 48 hours before King's jet vanished. The FBI obtained the footage. When they zoomed in, they saw the briefcase King was carrying in the video looked identical to the one found inside the empty jet. The theory forming now was chilling. King had been meeting someone offshore to expose Mercer's operation. But who were the men? And why had no one reported seeing them again? While investigators chased leads abroad, back in Miami, Laura King was fighting to protect what was left of her husband's empire. News outlets camped outside her home. Paparazzi shouted questions about hidden money, affairs, and offshore conspiracies. But Laura wasn't just a grieving wife. She had once worked as Michael's communications advisor at Neurospan. Smart, strategic, and fiercely loyal. She began her own search through Michael's personal office files. That's when she found it, a handwritten note in one of his leather planners. Check the Zurich call, 3 p.m., Delta 2274. If Mercer shows up, call Steve. The note was dated the day before the flight. Steve turned out to be Stephen Rain, one of Michael's closest friends, and the company's former cybersecurity consultant. He had left Neurospan the year before after a falling out with Mercer. When Laura called him, he didn't answer, so she drove to his condo in downtown Miami. The door was slightly open. Inside, the apartment was spotless. Too spotless. Laptop gone, phone missing. The only thing left was an empty coffee mug and a single manila envelope on the table labeled King. Laura opened it. Inside were 3 photographs, grainy black and white surveillance shots of Michael at a cafe in Zurich with a man wearing sunglasses. On the back of one photo, a message was scrawled, "He knew. They all knew." Laura froze. She handed the envelope over to the FBI the next morning. Agent Brian Keller, lead investigator on the case, now had a new map of suspects. Not just Mercer, but whoever the 2 unidentified men in Panama were, and whoever took those Zurich photos. He suspected King had stumbled into something much bigger, possibly an international money funnel linked to defense contractors. A week later, Keller's instincts were confirmed. Interpol flagged a bank transfer of $12 million to an account registered to Daniel Mercer, originating from a company known to move money for an arms supplier in Eastern Europe. The pieces were connecting. Neurospan's neural chip technology wasn't just for medical use. In the right hands, it could be repurposed for military targeting systems, a billion-dollar black market interest. King's disappearance wasn't random. It was strategic. Someone wanted his silence, or his cooperation. Then came a bombshell from Zurich. Swiss authorities reported that a man using King's second passport, under the alias Michael Kincaid, had opened a private deposit box 3 days after the crash. Inside were gold bars, encrypted drives, and a handwritten letter sealed with wax. When the letter was examined, it contained a short message written, "In Michael King's handwriting, if you're reading this, I'm not dead, yet. They think I have everything. I only have enough." The truth is, in Delta, the room went cold. The folder Delta had already been cracked by the FBI. But what if what they found wasn't the real Delta? Agent Keller ordered a full reanalysis of the files. His digital forensics team combed through metadata and found a hidden subdirectory, a shadow folder buried inside the encrypted network, accessible only through a specific login token. When they decrypted it, the true content emerged. Audio recordings, dozens of them, secret meetings between Mercer and foreign investors, references to test sites and deliverables, and one call where Mercer said something that made every agent stop in disbelief. "If King doesn't play along, he's gone. We'll make it look like he disappeared himself." The evidence was explosive, but before Keller could issue an arrest warrant, Mercer vanished. His house was found empty, his phone off, his car abandoned at the edge of Biscayne Bay. Surveillance footage from a nearby marina showed a man matching Mercer's description, boarding a yacht the night before. Destination, Panama City. It was the same place where Michael King had been seen last. As the FBI scrambled to coordinate with Panamanian authorities, a transmission alert came through from Miami ATC, a private aircraft entering international airspace, unregistered, but pinging the same transponder ID as Michael King's original Cessna. Keller stared at the monitor in disbelief. "That jet was destroyed," he said. The air traffic operator shook his head. "Then someone rebuilt it." The call sign flashed again, KNG-07, the same as Michael King's plane, and at that moment, every investigator in the room realized what they might be witnessing wasn't just the return of a plane, but the possible return of Michael King himself. When radar picked up the unregistered jet matching Michael King's call sign, KNG-007, the entire FBI command center fell silent. For nearly a year, King had been presumed dead. The discovery reignited the investigation overnight. Agent Brian Keller ordered all data relays on standby. If that's King, we're not losing him again. The plane crossed into U.S. airspace at 2:46 a.m., cruising low over the Gulf of Mexico before abruptly changing course toward Key West. Fighter escorts were scrambled, but when the Cessna touched down at an abandoned airstrip minutes later, no one was inside. The engines were still warm, the cockpit switches were off, and sitting in the pilot's seat was a sealed envelope taped to the control panel. Inside was a single sheet of paper. "Brian, you were right. Mercer's not done. Check the foundation. Tell Laura I'm sorry. MK." Beneath it, a flash drive. The data on the drive wasn't financial, it was personal. Video clips showed Michael King sitting at a desk in a dim hotel room, wearing the same jacket he had on during the Panama footage. His face was thinner, his voice slower. "If you're watching this," he began, "then Mercer won. But maybe you'll understand. Neurospan wasn't just a company. We built something that could read thought patterns in real time. Technology the government wanted to weaponize. I said no, Mercer said yes." He took a deep breath. "The night before the flight, I found out he'd sold our prototype to an arms intermediary. They paid him through Coral Light Holdings, the shell company you found. He planned to blame me and disappear." The camera shook slightly. "I had proof, enough to bury him. That's why I boarded that plane, but Mercer wasn't supposed to be there." The clip cut out mid-sentence. Keller sat back, his pulse racing. Mercer was still alive, and now he had the tech. 2 days later, Panamanian police raided a luxury villa registered to Coral Light Holdings. Inside, they found servers, fake passports, and traces of an experimental chip prototype. The villa's security cameras showed Mercer arriving 3 nights earlier and leaving with 2 suitcases the day before the raid, then vanish. He never chases them, because maybe the ghost of Michael King is still out there, keeping watch over the technology that almost destroyed him. And maybe, just maybe, he's waiting for Mercer to make another move. If you think this story was wild, you haven't seen anything yet. Like, comment, and subscribe, because the next case will make this one look tame.